the dwelling. Let's get it wrong. This is where the pros come to play. Selling in the dwelling every day. Top experts, real talk straight from the track. Selling in the dwelling, get paid.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Selling in the Dwelling, the go-to podcast for the in-home services and remodeling industry. I'm your host, Alan Langer, and we've got another great guest in the operational world. But if you're not in the operational world, don't click to another podcast because Al Levy is going to cover quite a few things today that's going to make your business, your selling, your marketing, whatever we're going to talk about today, better. So hang with me because I think this is going to be a podcast that everyone's really going to enjoy that's in the service industry. But before we get to Al, two quick things. The podcast website is sellinginthedwelling.com, and I bring that up because in the top right corner, there's the Ask Alan button. If you click that button, send me a question. If I read your question on an upcoming episode, you will get a free Selling in the Dwelling t-shirt. And the title sponsor for Selling in the Dwelling is Paradigm Vendo. It's paradigmvendo.com/dwelling, the best software you can find for the in-home selling industry. So let's get going with my great guest, Al Levy, today. Al is the author of a book called the 7 Power Contractor book, and he had many years as a contractor and finally retired. I believe it was at age 48. And then you had a lot of people asking you how you did it, how you were so successful. So first of all, Al, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
So tell us a little about you. It's a 7 Power Contractor book, and that's the name of your company, 7 Power Contractor. And you're basically a consultant, but not for just one thing. You look at kind of everything together, right? And how to make a successful company. So tell us a little bit about what you look at and how you kind of got into what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think that need to start with the backstory. And the way I usually tell it is I grew up in a family plumbing, heating, cooling, electric business. And it wasn't just residential. We did residential, commercial, and industrial because otherwise it would be too easy. And so we covered all the segments. And we were located, if the accent doesn't give it away, Long Island, New York City. We did Brooklyn, Queens. Yeah. I arrived into the business I was the youngest of 3 brothers. My 2 older brothers were already there. So I arrived in the mid-late 70s. I was there and we worked together. My dad, we grew the company to 1 main hub and 3 spoke satellites because Long Island is very long and it's also got tremendous traffic. So we knew how to hub and spoke. What I was really good at, because we were not a small company, at least in those days, we were 17 million in sales back in the 90s. So that was big. Today,
Yeah.
of course, the numbers have gotten much bigger, but I was really good at sales and marketing, and my team was really good at blowing them up. So that's how I became known as the planning, operations, staffing guy, hence the 7 powers that I talk about. Nobody needs to ever be a guinea pig. I have done it all. I've been everywhere, anything. My father, who was a great guy and a great business mentor to all of us, he basically said I should never ask anybody to do anything that I hadn't done myself.
Mhm.
And I could tell you, Alan, when I was young, I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I did see the wisdom pretty quickly that, I could be in any of the slots in the organization and do a pretty good job at it. And there were things that I liked more. And, selling and marketing really were my favorites. But I got down to, planning because it was just so much chaos. So the tagline when I went off to form this company officially in 2002, a job I was only going to do for 10 years, by the way, because I'd already had a long, successful career. And then I said my tagline should be what I always felt when I was at work. I was wishing for less stress and more success. That pretty much is
Okay.
in a nutshell. Now, we were making a ton of money. That's great. The problem was I was 50 pounds heavier than I am today. To say I was eating my stress. Now, New York has great food, but I overindulged to say the least because I was really just felt stress. You try to go to sleep and the phone was near my head and just waiting for somebody to ring. And we had guys on shifts all through the night, 7 to 4, 8 to 5, 10 to 7, 2 to 11 p.m. was not on call. That was a shift in the middle of winter, 5 p.m. to it, but we had never empowered them to be really good at what they need. And so if you're a service tech, which in my definition is you go to the door, there's a service call, You ask good questions, you find out what it is, make good recommendations, communication, which is the foundations of great selling. And then you have to be neat and clean operationally, do the right things, including where you park your truck. Because
Mhm.
you park it
Absolutely.
in the wrong place, I already hate you. And you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
even gotten out of your truck. And
yeah.
so there's a do it. 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps, 10 step. Anybody who has a sales system much more than 10 step, I've been with enough guys to know that they can't repeat it consistently. My selling system was 5 step.
Mm,
And I started with the system engineers, which is a fancy term for salespeople, the big ticket salespeople. And it worked so well, I edited it to fit the service techs because it was very close. And so
mm,
that's what I did when I went off to work with companies for these last 20 something years. I would coach their team on sales. And I just explained to them that really the nickname for my sales program was ethical selling program
mm.
because I was raised, my dad was probably one of the best salespeople I've ever seen. And he was anything but you would think as a salesperson because our misconceptions about great salespeople, like I do this in the workshop is I go, okay, guys, I want you to close your eyes. Promise I won't take your wallet. I want you to think of something. And when I say it, I want you to open your eyes. Okay. Used car salesman. And they open it up and it's like, that's what they see as a salesperson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that's the misconception all these years later. They see anybody who does sales because their conception is that I'm trying to sell somebody something that they don't really need or want.
Mhm.
And ethical
100%.
sales is anything but that. I'm going to sell you anything and everything that I feel is appropriate because you answering my questions and what I'm observing is leading me to where we need to be.
And it's what you actually need rather than what I wanna sell you, which is a huge
Yes.
difference.
Yes. And I do address needs and wants
Right.
by all
Right.
means, because somebody else has been to this place and go, you can't have that
Right.
or it won't do the job and they're misinformed.
And you mentioned service techs, and really, I think a lot of the companies that have service type people, like plumbing, like even glass repair people, and I did a training for a glass doctor company a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, and she wanted me in to teach her techs how to actually sell because they're techs. They're like, I'm going to go fix the problem, and that's it. And you need to teach your technicians that they're also salespeople, right?
Yeah. There's no question about it. In the old days, and I've been talking about when I was doing tech work, because as I said, I did everything.
Hmm.
But when I would go run a service call in the old days, we never even really had to talk much to the customer other than to find out what the problem was, go
Right.
fix it.
Right.
Somebody will send him a bill. Well, that ship is long sailed. So
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you for money. And usually I'm going to ask for your money up front. So I need to be able to present a price in the right way. I need to be able to build the trust all the way along the line. So skipping sales, and I really think the point of it is I talk about ethical communication. And then when I would tell them, why don't you call it that? Ethical communications as this program. I said, because I couldn't sell your boss on it unless I
Yeah.
called it selling. But
Yes, exactly.
ethical communications is what leads to ethical sales, which leads to great sales. So I can sell anything to anybody once. Is that your goal? Absolutely not. My goal is to earn your trust over and over again. I want to turn you into a raving fan. And
Mhm.
I even got really, really great asking for testimonials before I even sold a job. And there's a technique about how to do that, do the right
Mm.
way, because I had a great industry friend that said, you telling me how great you are is semi interesting. What I really want to know is who lives somewhere around where I do, who looks like me, who's bragging on you. And so
Mhm.
testimonials became not just for marketing, they're so important for sales.
Yeah. I mean, it's social proof right there. One of the biggest pillars of influence is social proof, and I train reps to do that all the time. It's
Yep.
amazing how many companies I go into, and I ask them flat out, "Do you show customers in the area? You have a book or a map program that shows that?" Al, it's unbelievable. Like 8 out of 10, no, we don't have that. We don't do that. They can go
And with the
online and check, but
technology today, it's
it's
almost
so easy.
embarrassing. And
Yeah.
then they
Right.
talk about carrying testimony. You
Yeah.
can't take a video with your customer? It's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
It's the best thing that you can do. So, yeah. But here's what I wanted to kind of bridge to this other thing once I came better at operations and such. We always thought that the number one reason for a callback, and so let's just make sure we're defining the callback. Callback means I was at your home, business, whatever. And now within 30 days, you're calling me back for some reason. I have to run back and it's a money drain and customers are not happy. And nowadays they can go online and tell 7 billion people how much you messed up. So
Yep.
the stakes are a lot higher. What it was really about was understanding as a service tech, there are three things that could cause a callback: bad sales communication, operationally bad, technically bad. So the thing is, I sold you something, but I didn't know that you really needed, or your expectations of what you were going to get at the end were never clearly defined by you, the person buying it, speaking it to make sure
Hmm.
that we've got this two-way communication locked in. We measured because we had a very, what we call a high callback ratio many, many years ago. And that just means by based on how many calls, 100, how many are coming back for any reason within 30 days. So just as a ballpark, don't use it as a hard press thing, but in service, typically 4% is where you usually start as a goal, a
Okay.
4% callback ratio, which means for any reason, four of them are coming back. So I thought their technical knowledge was the reason that there would be a callback, or, they ran a call and they didn't want to put it on the shoe covers. So they dragged mud across a white carpet, or they weren't careful with their, toolbox and they broke the screen door.
Right. So a
Those are
callback is there's an issue. What you're talking about? There was something
Yes,
went wrong.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
as long as the customer feels there's an issue, it's legit. The number one reason for callbacks, which was astounding to us, was bad sales.
Really?
Bad sales. By not communicating, by not building trust, by not keeping the customer in the loop, all of that was really, or not selling the appropriate thing, because
Yeah.
really are two diagnoses for a service tech. You need to diagnose the customer, number one, before you get busy diagnosing the problem. It's not one or the other. It's those two diagnoses.
It's great.
And guys are usually in such a big hurry. They just want to get down to what's the problem? What can I sell them? How can we get on with this job? And they have not done the work to diagnose the customer. And that's really the big thing that does it. Now, as a big ticket salesperson, you still have that same burden, is that you need to diagnose customer and diagnose the problem. So unbeknownst to me as a young person, I went to sell a heating job and the person wanted a new heating system. And I said, okay, well, here's what we can do, and put it all in. And they called up, I'm unhappy. They go, well, I'll come by and check the whole system. And I go, it's working perfectly. They go, yeah, well, the room that's 450 feet away from here is not hot. And I thought when I bought the new heating system, it would automatically fix that,
Oh,
because I never asked the key questions.
right.
Are any rooms too hot or too cold? Is there anything that you're desiring to get that you didn't have with the existing equipment? Trust me, that happened once. That's the
Yep.
value of learning.
So let me ask you a question that I get or I run into enough to ask this question. I have seen companies who have service techs who are asking them to sell, but they don't pay them any commission on the sale. They frame it like it's for the good of the company. They have a good salary. We have a bonus structure, but we don't really incentivize them to sell. Now, talk me out of it if I'm wrong, but I'm from the school of if you're going to ask me to sell something, I want to be incentivized to sell it. Do you agree with service techs making commission on sales or no?
I do agree on it.
Okay.
I absolutely do agree. And I think they have to be prepared. The techs have to be prepared. Our company tremendously changed. We were New York City union shop. And when I walked in, union didn't do any providing of staff to us. We just had to take what came along and put them in the
Right.
union if they weren't. But they were horrible. They were all mismanaged. And, this was what I inherited from a company that was started in 1936 out of my
Mm,
grandfather's gas station. So finally, I just said, look, we're just going to the edge of the cliff and we're all going to go over unless the two of us come to a conclusion. And to my union's credit, the guys that were there said, no, we don't want to do that. How do we fix this? So we worked it out that the work chart, which goes in levels or ladder,
mm,
to ascend up the ladder, you have to make a service tech would be sales operation technical performance that's being measured. The easiest way I can describe a sales coaching program would be is if I need you to bring me $360,000 for the year, I need 30,000 a month. If you bring me 30,000 a month, love you, keep coming to work.
okay.
Bring me 30,000 and $1, I will be very generous with the $1 because it's not built into my budget, it's found money.
Okay.
Give me $29,999. I will coach you, but not forever.
Gotcha.
And that's the easiest way. So there's bonus for above salary or commission pay for performance, which is another thing. I think the big thing to that is they need to know why they have to be selling. And if they are understanding that and they're being aware of that we are watching, not because we distrust you, but we're out here to protect everybody. So what does that mean? I'm a firm believer in mystery shoppers,
Mhm.
having mystery shoppers and letting them know that there are mystery shoppers. And our mystery shoppers are not just there to see you doing something bad. They also report to us when you're doing something good. You're
Yeah.
following the system. So it isn't all punitive. It's also good and bad. And it's how it's setting you up to come to more training with us, to move you up the ladder to make more money. The second way is that we will do ride alongs with you consistently. And people go, well, they're going to be on their best behavior on ride alongs. And my answer to that is for doing so many ride alongs. Yeah, they'll be that way for maybe a couple of calls. But if I ride in your truck for month after month, you are going to show me exactly who you are.
Exactly, right, right. I wanna piggyback on what I said with my statement of, I think service techs need to make commission, but I also don't want you to think or the audience to think that I'm a commission-only guy because I think commission-only reps really hurt the industry because that's all they're focused on. I'm here to sell you and not get to the point of what's gonna, help you.
I
So
totally agree. Totally agree. And some of the owners really don't even get it. They go, well, if we put them on commission and they don't sell, they don't, doesn't cost us anything. I go, are
exactly, right.
your leads for free?
Right.
Is your reputation not at risk? So
Right.
yeah, get out and do this. If you want to go pay for performance or commission based pay, you better be really, really, really vigilant. You should be vigilant anyway. And the
Right.
way I explained it is, what was that show To Catch a Contractor? There used to be all these
Oh,
kinds of
I
shows,
remember that, yeah, I remember
sting
that show, yeah.
operations.
Yeah,
How do you know that's not going to happen to you? And all it takes is just one incident to
just
sink a
one.
whole company. So
Yeah.
that's why we do mystery shopping. That's why we have ride alongs and things like that to minimize that from happening because we want you to sell. I'm going to come back to the magic word ethically.
Yes, exactly. And I think when you judge a sales rep or a service tech, you have to have an entire, I guess, point system is a better way to put it. Like, okay, you're going to make commission, but how many good reviews did you get? How many
Yes.
referrals did you get? How many self-generated
How
appointments?
many
That
callbacks are you creating? Because the team
exactly.
knows that you're out selling and not fixing anything, and we have to clean up your mess.
Yeah, then you're not a good salesperson. You're a liability to the company rather than
Yeah.
an asset,
I
actually.
I learned this actually very I was already knew it, but I was curious when I went off to really do the consulting. Didn't take long. Was one of my first customers. They were all good at selling. The baseline was straight across, all except for one guy who was way above that.
Hmm.
And I talked to the owner privately and I go, "Your guys are really good. This other guy is like crazy off the charts. Now, maybe he's everything he is, but I would tell you to get somebody's butt in the truck to go find out what's going on or stop back at these jobs or let me talk to some of your other techs because I'll get the truth here. What it ended up being, because once they did that, they found out he was doing unethical sales, wasn't good at any of the technical stuff. So they finally had the guts to fire him. And then I spoke to the guys and they go, you know what? We're going to pick up the ball. So they had their next best selling months 6 months in a row once they fired their top performer,
They're top
that
performer. That's
contractor.
amazing. Love
Yes.
that.
Yeah. It's
That
a very big fallacy. They believed the owner was turning a blind eye because he just wanted the money.
Yeah. I see it a lot in organizations where you have that top guy or that top woman. Yeah, they're selling a lot, but they may not be the best for the company. And it takes a lot of guts for that owner to say, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, my long term goal, you're not part of this plan because you're not doing things the way we want them done. And eventually it's going to bring the company down.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that as an owner, there was a time that I was afraid to fire people for different positions because I knew I would have to stop my day and get in the truck and, do a pickup truck
Yeah.
and do the whole thing. And not that I was, adverse in doing it, but it's not something you want to be doing every day. So we finally, my older brothers with my dad's blessing, we decided because I had gone off to an organization where, really opened my eyes to what I should be doing. And I came back and I closed the door, and we had a very small office because my dad believed we don't make any money with you sitting here. Go out and do something. So I closed the door, talked to my two older brothers and my dad, and I go, I woke up last night in a cold sweat. And I thought to myself, they could all quit tomorrow. What would we do then? And also, I feel like a hostage at my own company.
Yeah.
I go, how do you guys feel? And they all looked around at me and with a laugh, they go, yeah, we feel like hostages. So what are you going to do about it? And I go, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. And the root of it was creating operating manuals, which is a fancy name for a playbook for
Hmm.
everybody on the org chart to know what they're supposed to do 80% of the time. And then that led to creating a sales system that was repeatable. That led to us creating willing apprentices with no skills to willing techs with great skills. Before that, we used to pirate people away. And you can get lucky, catch lightning in a bottle, which means a willing tech with good skills, but it's very rare to be replicable. So once you learn how to create a pipeline, and why am I going to this? Because it applies to salespeople.
Hmm.
If you're always going to be buying somebody else's salesperson, they're going to do it their own way. They're going to tell you what they will and won't do and how they will. We decided no more. We're all just going to get great at sales, and we're going to follow this thing, and new people are going to arrive, and we're going to be able to get them up to the sales ladder as well.
Hey, dwellers, quick break. Hey, did you know that the closing percentages for in-home sales has been dropping consistently over the last 10 years? It's really crazy, and there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of them is reps have so much to do in the house because there's so many different platforms that you're jumping back and forth all the time. Well, my title sponsor, Paradigm Vendo, takes care of that. In one digital platform, you can go from initial appointment right to final sale and signatures by visiting just their platform. It's amazing. You got to check them out. It's paradigmvendo.com/dwelling, PARADIGM vendo.com/dwelling, because your reps need to give the homeowners a great experience in the house, and jumping around doesn't do that. Visit paradigmvendo.com/dwelling and take care of the experience your reps are giving in the house. Your book covers the 7 powers, the levels in an organization, for lack of a better term. I'll read them off here. It's planning and leadership, operations, financial, staffing. Then you have selling, marketing, and then sales coaching. Are those the 7 pillars you talk about
Yep,
in the
those
book?
are the seven pillars. And the reason the 7 powers came to be is I was ruminating that I was in my office thinking during the stressful times, there must be like 7 million things because I'm pretty smart and we've been around a long time. We should have figured this out already. And, and then when I realized we didn't have a foundation. So imagine a big house, because we were already big at that time, on bad ground or no foundation or a crumbling foundation.
Yeah.
And that's when I stumbled onto this thought about the 7 blocks. So it really applies to small companies who want to grow because they're going to run out of hours in a day, days in a week, weeks in a month. I've lived that life. You can't clone
Mhm.
yourself, although you wish you could.
Yep.
Not going to happen. And
Yep.
then for bigger companies, you know how to make the phone ring and you can make some money. But is it replicable? Because could you go away for 2 months and never check back and see what
Yep.
would it be? That's really kind of the same thing. So scalability also relies on the same 7 powers as your think of it as the foundation.
Well, we have, as you said before we recorded, simpatico, because I have the 7 Secret Sales Academy. Those are my 7 foundations of selling, and you have the 7, Power Contractor book, and we're both named Al. So it can't get
Yeah,
any
it's
better
all
than this, right?
it's meant to be for everyone listening.
All right. So in all your consulting, what do you think right now, 2026? We just started midsummer. What are you seeing out there as the top 2 problems that contracting companies are having? If that's not too broad
I
of a
I would
question.
say it is more acutely, and it was not one of the privileges of living this long and going through it for so long is this is new to you, but it's not new to me. A roller coaster.
Yes.
When we just went through COVID at the beginning, I thought, wow, it's going to be terrible. And all of a sudden it ended up being great. What I knew from my own times was .com is people would begin to interrupt me while I was presenting to them whatever they had asked for, and they would interrupt me and go, "Great, how soon can you start?" I knew where we were. And then there are other times, as I said to my brothers, if I told somebody I'd sell them a new heating system for $1, they would argue with me.
Right, exactly.
So that's how the cycle here is. So I believe right now it's not across the board slowing. I think there are people with money, especially like ourselves in the baby boomer era. We're at the point where we've lost the fun of DIY, do it yourself. No, we want you to do it for
Yeah.
us. And so that's still a live market, and we do have money. Whereas, younger people are struggling to get into houses. There's not as much house turnover. We just went through an exhaustive buildup in housing coming in through
Yep.
the COVID things. And, these rates people perceive as high. Now, my first mortgage was 12 and a half
Right.
fixed, and I was happy to have it.
Right. Right.
It's all relative and whether or not you can buy the house. So I think being able to get enough calls. But here's the problem. Most people are really poor at marketing because they've never reverse engineered it, which is
Mm,
if I want to be 10 million in sales, as an example, how much is it service? How much is new install? So the pie, and then what's your closing rate on these calls? And then you can work up as to how many calls and how many people need to go to be able to bring you that. Then figuring in the rep, what's their conversion rate? So everything works backwards.
it's great. I spoke about this in a previous podcast with Lauren Kingsley about reverse engineering, and most companies don't do that. They say, I want to do this, but instead, and they're like, okay, let's just do it. And they don't figure out, let's look at it backwards. Like I did the same thing with this podcast. Like I always wanted to do this podcast, and it was like, I'm not just going to start a podcast. I'm like, okay, here's a podcast. What do I need to do to get there? Let me go backward. What do I need to do? And it's very helpful. And so many people don't realize the power of reverse engineering. Almost every idea that you have, you should really do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it starts with a written goal.
Yep. Yep.
If it's not written, it's not real. And it's
Yep.
just a nice fairy tale you tell yourself to get to sleep. Whether you start at 12 million because the numbers are easy, it's a million a month. Well, okay, a million a month. How much is going to be in sales? How many calls? What's the conversion? What's the average ticket? If I want my big ticket salespeople to bring me a million or 2 million or 3 million, what's their closing rate? What's the average ticket? Okay, back up. How many calls does that mean? So, for instance, 200 calls, they close at 50%. I'm going to get 100 calls. What do those average tickets need to be? So,
Yeah. All of that.
reverse
Right.
engineering all along the way is super important.
And are you saying that the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems you're seeing, is getting enough leads for these companies? Is that what?
Right now, that's what the complaint I'm hearing across the board from most companies.
Okay.
Now, there are some really good marketers. They're paying more and more for the leads because the market is
Yeah.
getting more and more crowded. The great person who I worked with all these years, a great friend as well, Ellen Rohr, ROHR. She is the financial power person. So she was the one that was working with me to deliver financial power. We smushed together our sales coaching program because without
Okay.
knowing the numbers, like she says, how do you know how you're rewarding people? Is it money from your wallet or is it money
Yeah.
they create? And the answer should be the money they create. But without a budget and a financial scorecard, you're just taking a wag, a wild anatomical guess. That's hard for a New Yorker to say that.
Are you seeing anything else besides the leads, the costs of leads, the struggle to get leads because there's so much saturation
There's
out there?
private equity, money coming in, things of that nature. But I competed against utilities, so I'm not unsympathetic, but I'm kind
Yeah.
of unsympathetic. I went toe to toe with the best guys, and you just have to be able to combine. Money buys you options is another thing that Ellen always talks about. So if you have money, you can go television, marketing, radio. One of the best ones, of course, is stand-up trucks that are really logoed well. Your brand is really sticks out. Like we rebranded back in 91. And all of a
Yep.
sudden it looked like I had 5 times as many trucks as I did. We already had a big fleet, but
Yep.
it just was outstanding because we had somebody help engineer all that. And it really made a world of difference because your trucks going up and down the road, they're in the right service area. They're next to your neighbors or whatever else in the neighborhood. And if you don't think great looking stand up trucks are important, go to Las Vegas because they're running empty trucks up and down the boulevard.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to social proof and
Yes.
familiarity. Like people see that truck, they must be good. They're always on the road. They're doing something. They must be good.
Yeah,
You
they're in
know,
my neighborhood. I see them all the time.
I have a good marketing friend, and we always send each other pictures of bad marketing or bad websites that we see. And the other day, I'm not kidding, it's probably 2 weeks ago, on the road, there was a van in front of me, and in the back of the van, it just said professional with a phone number, just the word professional. So I said, well, there's got to be something on the side of the van. And I went to the side of the van and it just said professional with a phone number. And that's it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's stuck in my head, but like, what are you a professional at? Like,
Yes, I know it's there's the balance of that. My dad and my uncle, who was the generation before me, they thought that they should put everything on the truck so
yeah,
that
that's
they
too
knew
much,
we
right?
did everything. So, and this is back in the day when they used to letter, hand letter before you had, 2000. So the poor painter really killed himself. The guy who really took me on over his lap in the marketing section is this guy, Leo, who was a top marketing guy that my dad happened to know. It was just one of the most happy, lucky accidents in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
And he just said, Sonny, this is how we do marketing.
Yeah.
So the example of the truck was a good one because it had to be green because of regulations. So I came with a sheet and thought we were going to pick like forest green or a dark green. He looks at it and he picks the most obnoxious green color you can. And I go, no, Leo, no. And he goes, listen to me, Al. I'm not asking you to wear a suit this color,
Yeah.
but they're going to see your truck 5 blocks away. And
Right.
that is what marketing is about. And
Yes.
sure enough, when I wasn't looking for that truck, I could see it 5 blocks away because before that it was invisible. But
Yes.
it was very funny because he just really explained to me about how everything else you put on, it's all about real estate. When
Yes.
you have a truck or any marketing, the more you put on, the worse you make it.
Absolutely. Right. But you need to put a little more than professional, and that's it.
Maybe one or two more words at least.
Yeah. At least one or two. There's
But
actually,
but but QR codes to me are idiotic. I'm driving along. Am I going to get the phone out to do this? I hope
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, maybe when if they're parked or at a
Yeah,
light, they might do
you
it.
know
Yeah.
what? The color attracts my attention. I know your name and it's a good name.
Yeah.
And then I know what you do. That's all. I'll find
Yeah.
you.
I'll find you.
Anything
Yeah.
more, you better be really judicious.
I'm in Rhode Island and there's a septic company. Now, you can't get much more gross and dirty than a company that cleans septic tanks. And this started probably about 10 years ago. I started seeing the trucks and I looked into it. It's a woman owned business. And what she did is brilliant. She painted every single giant septic tank truck. You've all seen them, they're giant,
Yeah.
bright pink.
Yes,
And
I've seen it.
and
Yeah. I've seen
yeah, I forget the name of her company, but it's a if I Google bright pink
yeah,
septic Rhode
right
Island, it's
paint,
gonna come right up.
exactly.
But
Right,
she makes
yeah.
sure, so she literally makes sure every truck is cleaned every day when they get off the road. They wash every single one. And now that's
She's breaking what people have in their head automatically, like you started out. Oh, dirty, sloppy, it's gonna
yeah,
be a mess.
100%. It's a
Yeah.
pattern interrupt. And if you're even the wife of the house or the woman of the house or someone that's someone, ordering this up, I want the clean truck cleaning my septic tank, not the gross guy coming here with shit all
Well,
over his truck, basically.
I actually was myself, Ellen, one of my customers, Jim Carnetti, many, many years ago. We got back together, the three of us, to a Zoom drain and sewer and went nationwide on franchise. So I know that
Oh,
business really, really well.
yeah.
I didn't pick the name Zoom. He did because he wanted it to be both focused and fast. That
What was
was
the name?
Zoom, ZOOM,
Okay.
Zoom drain and sewer.
Zoom
And it
drains.
was
Okay.
fast, focused. That was really what our main thing was because he knew all of his competition. Well, we'll get there when we can. And meanwhile, sewage is running everywhere.
Yeah.
When we got there, they weren't really trained where we had really got these guys trained beyond any other level.
And by the way, speaking of, and we're going to get to the Ask Alan segment in just a minute, but I have to bring this up because you're talking about so many things as far as the brand of your company and all the things that affect that, the reputation of it. About 2 years ago, I had a leak in my basement. My well tank started leaking pretty bad. It was 11:30 at night when I heard it. I went downstairs. I've already got things leaking. It was of course, the house was designed where for some reason, the water turnoff was not in front of the well tank. It was after it. So I couldn't turn the water off. So I get on my phone and I'm not kidding. Google 24-hour, plumbing service. The first 8 that I called that said 24-hour emergency service went right to voicemail. Leave a message. We'll call you back. Did anybody call me back? No. Call number 9, someone picked up the phone and then they showed up within about 40 minutes. But the first 8 who told me they were 24 hours were not. And that really, like, I did a whole post on it because I was actually mad.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because during the COVID, when all of a sudden we were short on labor,
Yeah.
guys were stealing, or what we used to call pirating, because we didn't like to use the word stealing, as if pirating was a better word.
Yeah.
Hiring guys from each other, where you overpaid them and you just cut every deal under the sun. And one of them was like, "Oh, we don't have to work on call or any of the other stuff," which I think is abysmal. And I made that clear to the quote unquote gurus out there who were pushing this. I said, the reason you need to do this is because you haven't done the hard work like we have, which is taking willing apprentices with no skills and building them to willing techs that have great skills. And they knew from the beginning that we serve on their schedule for this reason. We ask ourselves, would you be okay if your mother's house in a colonial, the toilet explodes on the 3rd floor on Saturday? We'll tell her we'll be there Monday. Is he okay with that? Are you like that?
Right.
And every one of them, whatever, again, they were union. They didn't have to buy into any of this stuff. Every one of them understood this completely. And as I mentioned, we had shifts, but we would get these calls out and get them done. It wasn't just some thing
Yeah.
that go online said 24/7 emergency. I
Yeah.
think that's
And
really such a huge break in trust.
that's how you're starting the date. Here's the date, and I'll be there at 7, and they're not there. We're going to do 24-hour service, and they don't. And so you're lying before I even meet you. So, all right, let's get to the Ask Alan segment because this is one of my favorite parts of the podcast. If you go to the sellinginthedwelling.com, there's an Ask Alan button. You click on it, you send a question, and you get a T-shirt if I read the question. And this one came in literally a few days ago, and it's perfect for Mr. Al Levy because it's about systems, and we've got a gentleman here who runs a small contracting company. I think a lot of what you've already said, Al, is going to help him, but I want to see how you're going to answer this specific question. So it's from Tony in Lakewood, New Jersey, and I've actually grew up in New Jersey, so I know
And I
Lakewood
know where
very.
that is. My
Yep.
wife is from Perth Amboy.
Okay. So Tony writes, I run a small contracting business. He doesn't say what kind, but a small contracting business. We did 4 million last year and are on pace for a little over 5 million in 2026. To scale and grow, I'd like to get to 10 or 20 million. What would you say I should focus on first to get there? Or is that too broad a question? And then he writes, LOL. I guess I just need some direction. Any help would be wonderful. Thanks.
So the senior goal here is to reach 10 million. But you didn't put in the key element, which allows you to slide off the hook. You didn't say by when.
Ah,
And what I always explain to
that's
my
terrific.
my clients is the reason you don't say why and the reason you don't put it in writing is because if you don't make it, there's no guilt. But really, there's no goal police that's coming along to take your dog if you don't get there. If you get to 8 million and it's profitable,
You did good. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, Tony, start with literally writing a document, 10 million in sales. Let's say I usually like a 3 to 5 year time horizon. You're welcome to beat it, but 3 to 5 years is very fair. I think planning or writing down stuff for 10 years is just a little too far.
Yeah.
So within the next 3 years or 5 years, you pick whichever you want. And now you have to do what I was been blurting out before, which is reverse engineer it. So by now you should know if you do service, like I described, somebody goes there, they sell the job, they do it. That's what it means, 24 hours. Or else somebody goes there and sells it and somebody else comes to do it. That's what I call install work or new construction or whatever other work you want to do. So we separate out the pie and then we decide, okay, of the 10 million, how much do you want in each of these if you could choose? Again, nobody's going to argue with you if suppose you say I want 70% in service and 30% install, or the other way, 70% in install, 30. You figure out the profitability and then work backward. You need to work out with, well, if each tech can bring me 500,000 to make the money easy, that means automatically I need 20 techs. So
Right. Right.
now I know, okay, it's not just calls, it's how many techs do I need in their trucks producing that 500,000. And by when? So I've got this goal going now. And now I'm starting to put in mile markers along the highway, which is I'm going to have so many techs or apprentices moving up the pipeline, getting into each of these boxes so they can get in their own truck. And that will continue to push us. And if I have big ticket sales, I'm going to have so many big ticket sales people that can bring me 1 million, 2 million, whatever your target is within the year. And then you need to work backwards. So example, easy math was I need 1 million in sales. The average sale is $10,000. That means you need to close 100 calls in a year. This is just for easy math.
Right.
But if you have a 50% closing rate, that means I need to give you 200 qualified calls.
Right.
And then I have to go one more step up, which is if the CSR doesn't book it or successfully hand it over to the person who's going to do the job, I've got to find out what kind of leak I have there.
Yeah.
Now we are starting to set sail to where we want to go.
And that's brilliant. And you mentioned a good point because it's not just as simple as, okay, we have a 50% close and I need 200 appointments. So that means that might mean you need to get 450 leads to come in to actually set 200 appointments. So then you take it that next step further. And then
Yep,
it's a qualified lead. Is it a crappy lead in some rental property or is it a legitimate lead? So yeah, so you got to really look at all those things. But the reverse engineering is huge for sure.
absolutely. That would get you, I can confuse you with more talking.
No.
This is really the first, second, and third biggest thing you need to get started on your journey.
And what I would add to that, and you hit my wheelhouse, which is writing down goals. I'm a big goal guy, the SMART goals. I always say my whole life since probably when I was teenager, I always wanted to go to Africa. I wanted to go on African safari. And I would write down my goals every year and I put them in a book. I'd write down go to Africa. That's all I would write. For 25 years I wrote go to Africa with nothing else. No timeline, no anything. Then I saw SMART goals and I figured it out. So what you said there is two things. Write it down, keep it visible, and give yourself a timeline. This is when I want to do it by. Because you will be shocked when you do those two things, how you get them done. You really you do it. You get it done.
I am a living proof of it as well. Mine was different because I was setting sail, leaving my company. And I knew I had already got all the systems in place. So we had all the org charts, the manuals, the training, being able to do the staffing, all the other things that we had talked about. And it was running well. But came this point, that I was 45 and I been at the company, just counting full-time years, 20 years. But if you know a family business, I was there by the time I was 8.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, and when I came home from college, I had 6 months I was driving a truck. There was
Right,
no spring break.
right,
So,
exactly.
yeah, so I was already fully entrenched, but I knew I was going to be leaving. And I had two things. I wanted to be able to set up the programs to teach others, but I also knew I was not leaving my brothers and my dad in the lurch. So I was going to have to hire people and train them and really prove out the system. So I gave them 3 years notice. I hope you're listening. 3 years notice. So next time somebody quits 2 weeks notice or 1 week or just leaves the keys on a desk,
Yeah.
what kind of difference it was. But I used that time to really prove out the theory, get people in place. And, I've been gone. I left officially at the end of September of 2001. So I've been gone for almost 25 years now. And my
Yeah.
nephew, fourth generation's there. And
Oh,
they're
that's
just
terrific.
rocking and rolling.
Yeah. And by the way, I did go to Africa once I started putting the goal in
Yeah.
place and I gave myself a deadline. So it was my bucket list trip realized. Well, Al, we are out of time and I am going to ask you if people want to contact you. I mean, if I owned a contracting company, you would be one of my first calls. Where do they go and where can I find your book?
Yeah. The best thing to do is go to the website, the number 7 powercontractor.com.
Okay.
Number 7 powercontractor.com. There's a lot of free information. I have tons of blogs that I've written. They're easy to search. There's video. There's a bunch of other things, all free. There's a jumpstart guide there's free. If you're interested in product, if you click on the product page, you will see the book. It's
Okay.
on through Amazon. You can get the book. If you love this voice, it's on Audible. It's, so you also have a paperback. It's very thin, and it's very thin on purpose. I probably had 10 times as much content that would have filled this book up, but really believe that business books should be 150 pages or less.
Hmm.
to be really, really impactful, because my goal was for you to read it over and over again or listen
Gotcha.
to it over and over again to absorb the lessons. And so, yeah, there are two programs there, the signature operating manual systems. So that's the org chart, the manuals, which helps you take control of your company so it's scalable. And then the second program is signature staffing, which you can only do after the first one, but that will get you along the way. Any way you go, you'll be in better shape.
Awesome. Well, this is terrific, Al. I really thank you for all of your insight and your golden nuggets and all your years in the industry and trying to make it better. That's what I appreciate about folks like you, because let's face it, the contracting bar is pretty low. It's been low. It's been on the ground for many decades, but at least I think it's raising a little bit, but it's still got a long way to go. And
I
you know,
think it, again, from being around as long as that, I can tell you that it is raising. We've got tremendous access to knowledge, which
yeah,
is a blessing and a curse,
yeah.
because you don't know if you're talking, listening, or following a genius or an idiot. So you need good filters.
Exactly. All right, Al. Well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you in the audience for joining me on this edition of Selling in the Dwelling. Don't forget to visit the website, sellinginthedwelling.com. Check the Ask Alan segment. Send me a question. You might get a free t-shirt. And also parandivemendo.com/dwelling. That is my title sponsor. They are awesome. Check them out for the best in-home selling software you can find. That's it for now, folks. We'll see you next time on Selling in the Dwelling. Take care.
Selling in the dwelling. Let's get it.